Salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I begin in the name of Almighty Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise to Almighty Allah, who created the universe with the heavens above and the earth below. Peace and blessings be upon to the Holy Prophet, to whom the Holy Quran was revealed, his beloved daughter, the Lady of Light, Fatima az-Zahra salamullahi alayhi. And upon the true 12 successors, the first being Imam Ali alayhi salam, and the last being the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi ajalallahu sharif. Mercy and blessings be upon all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The 12th of Muharram had arrived. Allahu Akbar. The ladies' and children's hands were tied. Everyone was mounted on the camels without any saddles, making the journey very uncomfortable. The journey was to Sham, to the courtyard of Yazid ibn Muawiyah, la'natullahu alayh. Imam Zainul Abidin was made to walk most of the way with the chains with sharp hooks digging into his neck, hands and feet. Blood constantly dripped from his wounds. Due to the constant bleeding from his wounds, extreme heat and exhaustion, our poor Imam used to fall down at every few steps. Every time he stumbled and fell, some brute would jump down from his horse and mercilessly whip him. Sakina was heard whispering to her Uncle Abbas, "Oh my dear Uncle Abbas, look what Shimmer has done to me. He has snatched my earrings and made my ears bleed. When I wailed for my beloved father, they slapped me, telling me to keep quiet. I haven't slept for 2 days. I miss my father. Please come back. I promise I will never ask for water anymore. I cannot live without you. Please come back or take me with you." Layla, the mother of Ali Akbar, stared at her son's head. With tears flowing from her eyes, could be heard talking to her son. "My son, Ali Akbar, I let you go to the battlefield to save the life of your father, but look, they have killed your father too." Farwa, the mother of Qasim, was also crying and saying, "Oh my son Qasim, your mother is lonely without you." Zainab had also sacrificed her 2 sons, Aun and Muhammad, and their heads were also perched high on the spears. But Zainab did not cry. She was busy comforting Sakina, Rabab, Layla, Farwa, and all the other children crying for their fathers. It was indeed a journey of tears to Sham. The journey from Kufa to Sham was a long one. They traveled for nearly 20 days and nights. Yazid's men were heartless. They did not feel sorry for them. Instead of comforting them, they treated them badly throughout this long journey. They did not know that the more cruelly they treated the family of the 72 martyrs, the more Yazid would be pleased with them and give them a bigger reward. During the long journey, they were hardly given any food or water, and they were constantly whipped. Shimr slapped Sakina repeatedly. These suffering people were from the family of the Holy Prophet, who was the dearest person in the eyes of Almighty Allah. You may be wondering why Almighty Allah wasn't doing anything to stop their continuous suffering. Neither Imam Husayn nor Imam Zainul Abidin or Zainab and Kulsum were helpless. One prayer of help from the Almighty Allah, and their prayers would have been answered immediately by the Almighty Allah. There can be no doubt in this matter. Neither our Imam nor the granddaughters of the Holy Prophet, Zainab and Kulsum, prayed to the Almighty Allah. Their suffering because their mission was to expose Yazid. Their mission was to awaken the Muslims from evil deeds that Yazid was promoting. The only way to succeed in stopping Yazid was to bear all the hardships patiently. Their mission was to save the glorious Holy Quran and Islam from the destruction by Yazid. That is why the 72 martyrs willingly sacrificed their lives in Karbala, and that is why Imam Zainul Abidin, Zainab and Kulsum patiently suffered all the insults, torture and humiliation inflicted on them by Yazid's men. Their mission was to save Islam, no matter how much they suffered. This is why we love the Ahlul Bayt so much, and this is why we appreciate, remember and mourn in such a huge way for their sacrifice for Islam. Their sacrifice, their suffering was not ordinary. No one had suffered like this before. Let us now look at one of the events that took place during this journey to Sham, and you will see how the Almighty Allah fulfilled Lady Zainab's prayers as soon as she asked for help. Therefore, Yazid's men were in a hurry to get to Sham, to claim their promised prize from Yazid for killing Imam Husayn and bringing his head and his family to him. Therefore, the camels were driven as fast as possible. The roads to Sham were rough and mountainous. Their little children desperately tried to hold on to their mothers with their little hands to save themselves from falling off the speeding camels. During this difficult journey, little Sakina fell off the camel's back. Her aunt Zainab, riding on the camel next to her, saw little Sakina, the darling daughter of her brother Husayn, falling off the camel. She had promised her brother to look after Sakina. Zainab's hands were tied. She pleaded with Yazid's men to stop the camels, but they did not. Little Sakina was left to die on the road. Zainab was specially instructed by her brother Husayn that her daughter Sakina would play a big part in delivering her mission to the people of Sham. Zainab had to do something. She had promised her brother that she would look after his darling daughter Sakina. Zainab turned towards the spear on which her brother Husayn's head was perched, and cried out, Brother Husayn, your Sakina has fallen off the camel's back. Yazid's men are not stopping our camels, so we can't get down to help her. Brother Husayn, your Sakina will die on the road. What shall I do, Brother Husayn? Zainab then closed her eyes and prayed to the Almighty Allah to save the Sakina. Was her prayer answered? Yes, it was answered immediately by the Almighty Allah. The spear on which Quli was carrying Imam Husayn's head fell out of his hand, and spear with Imam Husayn's head on it got stuck into the ground. The strong and muscular Quli jumped from his horse and tried very hard to uproot on which Imam Husayn's head was perched. The harder he tried, the more firmly the spear got stuck into the ground. Quli rushed to Shimr and told him what had happened. Shimr went to Imam Zainul Abidin and demanded to know from him why such a strong and muscular man could not pluck the spear carrying Imam Husayn's head from the ground. Imam Zainul Abidin looked in the direction of his aunt Zainab and saw her eyes closed and engaged in prayers. Imam Zainul Abidin asked Zainab, Aunt Zainab, what is the matter? Zainab opened her eyes and cried out to her nephew, My nephew Zainul Abidin, your little sister Sakina has fallen from the camel. She is lying unconscious on the road, and they won't stop the camels. Shimr heard what Zainab said. He immediately ran back. He saw Sakina lying unconscious on the lap of a lady in full black hijab and lovingly cared for by this lady. Who was this lady? Lady Fatima, the mother of Imam Husayn. May Allah Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah remove His mercy from those who transgress. Soon shall those who deal with others unjustly come to know what an evil turning their lot shall turn. Salawat.